Alright, so in this video we are going to talk about something called multi-step equations. So your goal here is I can solve multi-step equations. So in multi-step equations you also need to remember the golden rule, and we've talked about the golden rule a lot over the course of this unit. So the golden rule is whatever you're going to do to one side of the equal sign, you need to go ahead and do to the other side of the equal sign. So if you subtract from one side of the equal sign, you need to subtract from the other side of the equal sign. If you divide from one side of the equal sign, you need to divide from the other side of the equal sign. You need to be fair to all parties involved. Okay? Now, what is a multi-step equation? So a multi-step equation has variables on both sides of the equal sign. And this is not something that you've seen so far. So in order to solve the multi-step equation, we actually need to move the numbers and the variables all around so that we can solve the problem. And it's actually fairly easy to do as long as we are always following the golden rule. And this is what a multi-step equation looks like, okay? And a multi-step equation is going to involve everything we've done this year. Distributive property, combining like terms, the golden rule, everything like that. And it's going to help us solve the equation. So let's take a look at our steps. They look very overwhelming, but they're actually very simplistic when we drill down and we look at them, okay? So let's start at the beginning. So step one. Step one, by the way, is only if needed. So if needed, perform the distributive property on each side of the equal sign. Okay, so here's your equal sign here. So on the left, we do need to go ahead and perform the distributive property. So 4 times 2a is 8a, and 4 times positive 3 is positive 12. Okay, on the other side, we also need to perform the distributive property. 3 times a is, negative 3 times a is negative 3a, and negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. And then you bring down the positive 31. So far, all we've done is really just simplify the distributive property and rewrite the problem. Okay? So step two, if needed. Again, this may not be needed in the problem. If needed, combine like terms on each side of the equal sign. So over here, this is where we ended up on step one. Again, on the left-hand side of the equal sign, we had 8a plus 12. We can't do anything there because the 8a and the 12 are not like terms. On the right-hand side of the equal sign, we have negative 3a plus 3 plus 31. Well, the 3 and the 31 are like terms, so they can combine, and that's why I have them highlighted here, okay? So we need to go ahead and combine those, so we are further simplifying our problem, and that's what step two is about. All right, step three is really where we get to the new thing, to the new stuff here, okay? So here's my newly simplified problem. I did 3 plus 31, which is 34. So step three, add or subtract, and I'll show you how you know which one to do, the variables from the right side of the equation of the equal sign over to the left side of the equal sign, okay? So here's our equal sign. We're going to be focusing on the right-hand side. Find your variable on the right-hand side, okay? Here it is, negative 3a. What's the opposite, the inverse of negative 3a? Positive 3a. So you're going to do plus 3a, and then you need to go over here to this side, find the variable, and do plus 3a, and then draw a big equal sign, okay? Now, negative 3a plus 3a completely cancels out, and so you're left with 34. Then bring down your equal sign, bring down your 12, and 8a plus 3a is 11a. Why did you do all that? Well, for two reasons. One, inevitably, you want all of your variables on the left-hand side because at the end of the day, you want a equals something, okay? So we're moving them all to the left. We want them out of the right-hand side. The other reason why you did that is we are trying to simplify the problem, okay? So we just eliminated one of the terms. We had 1, 2, 3, and 4, and now we only have 1, 2, and 3. And now we're about to get rid of another one, okay? Step 4, add or subtract the variables from, oops, that should not say variables. cross that out and write constants from the left-hand side of the equal sign over to the right-hand side of the equal sign. Okay, so here we had our result from the last step. 11a plus 12 equals 34. Okay, we're looking at our constants now. So here's our equal sign. So where's our constant on the left-hand side? Well, it's positive 12. What's the inverse, the opposite of positive 12? Negative 12. So we're going to do minus 12 on this side, and our golden rule tells us we have to do minus 12 on this side. This is going to cancel. Bring down 11a, bring down the equal sign. What is positive 34 minus 12? 22. All right, now step 5. And that's our last step. Oh, no, step 6. Okay, divide by the coefficient if necessary. Again, only if necessary. So now we have a one-step problem. 11a equals 22. Remember, we box the variable, divide by 11, a equals 2. Then we check our answer. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the following problems after this. Okay, but you know how we've checked our work so far. We plug it back in. Okay, but I'm going to show you in our examples going forward. All right, so let's look at example number 1 here. So 6x plus 5 equals 10 plus 5x. There's no distributive property, so we can get rid of step 1. Step 2 says combine like terms on each side if necessary. Well, can't combine over here, cannot combine over here. So I move right along to step 3. I need to get this variable over to the left-hand side. So I'm going to do minus 5x minus 5x. Remember, match variables with variables, okay? 5x minus 5x is nothing, okay? 6x minus 5x is just x, or 1x, if it makes you feel better. All right, bring down everything else. Plus 5 equals 10. Now I want to get my my constants over to the right. So minus 5 minus 5. Well, positive 5 minus 5 is nothing. Bring down the x, bring down the equal sign. 10 minus 5 is 5. That's our answer. But I want you to get in the habit of checking it. So all you do is take that and plug it back into the answer. So I'm going to rewrite the entire problem. And every time it says x, I'm going to plug 5 in. So 6 parentheses 5 plus 5 equals 10 plus 5 parentheses 5. Now, 6 times 5 is 30 plus 5 equals 10 plus 5 times 5 is 25. 30 times 5 is 35 equals 10 plus 25 is 35. If this side equals this side, your answer checks out. But ultimately, x equals 5 is your answer. All right, let's move right along to this one here. So there's no distributive property right off the bat. I see that. Okay, can I combine like terms on the left side of the equal sign? Well, I have negative 20y plus 15. No. Can I combine like terms on the right-hand side of the equal sign? Yes, I can. I have positive 2 plus 11. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. So 2 plus 11 is 13. Okay, now I need to move my variables over to the left. So here's minus 16y, so the opposite is plus 16y. And I'm going to go right under the variable here. Make a big equal sign. Okay, minus 16y and plus 16y cancel out. Negative 20y plus 16y is going to be negative 4y. Bring everything else down. Okay, you might recognize this, by the way, as now a two-step equation, and that's exactly what that is. But now I want to get the constants on the right. So minus 15 minus 15. These will cancel. 13 minus 15 is negative 2. Bring down the equals, bring down the negative 4y. Now, last time I was lucky enough to have an x. This time I have a coefficient attached to the variable. So I need to divide by negative 4 on both sides. Okay, these cancel. So here I have y equals negative divided by a negative is a positive, and this is 2 over 4, which is 1/2. And another way you could write that is 0.5. But I should always check my work. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. So negative 20y plus 15 equals 2. Okay, so anywhere there's a y, I'm going to put in 1/2. All right, so negative 20 times 1/2, what's 1/2 of negative 20? So that's negative 10 plus 15 equals 2. What's negative 16 times 1/2? Negative 8 plus 11. So what's negative 10 plus 15? That's, that's positive 5. Now 2 minus 8 is negative 6 plus 11. So we go one more step. And negative 6 plus 11 is positive 5. So our answer to this one checked out. So y equals 1/2. All right, next problem. So here we have 5p minus 14 equals 8p plus 4. No distributive property. On the left-hand side, we don't need to combine like terms, and on the right-hand side, we do not need to combine like terms. So we need to take this 8p and start to move it over to the left. So positive 8p, then we have minus 8p, minus 8p. Big equal sign. Positive 8p, minus 8p, that cancels out. 5p minus 8p, sorry, those p's are confusing me, is negative 3p. Bring down everything else. Minus 14 equals 4. Okay, again, this should look exactly like a two-step equation now because that's exactly what it is. But now I need to bring my constants all over to the right. So here I have negative 14, so I'm going to do plus 14 plus 14. Draw a big equal sign. Remember that golden rule, whatever you do to the left-hand side of the equal sign, you do to the right-hand side. So the negative and the positive 14 cancel. 4 plus 14 is 18. Bring down my equals, bring down my negative 3p. Now I need to get rid of the negative 3 that's attached to the p. So divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. Okay, those cancel. P equals positive divided by a negative is a negative. 18 divided by 3 is 6. But we should always check our answer because that'll tell us for sure if we are right. So it is 5p minus 14 equals 8p plus 4. All right, so everywhere there's a p, I'm going to put a negative 6 in parentheses. All right, so 5 times negative 6 is negative 30 minus 14 equals 8 times negative 6 is negative 48 plus 4. Negative 30 minus 14, that's going to be negative 44. And then negative 48 plus 4 is also negative 44. So that means when those two are equal, our answer is right. So our answer is P equals negative 6. All right, let's move on to this problem here. So here we have one with the distributive property, and I know that because I have a set of parentheses with a number right outside attached to it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So 6 times 1, oh actually let me go ahead and write the first part of the problem so I can make sure that I have room. Okay, so 6 times 1 is 6, and then 6 times positive 3k is positive 18k. Now that I did that, I need to check to see if I can combine like terms. So on the left-hand side, I cannot combine like terms, and on the right-hand side, I cannot combine like terms. So now I'm immediately going to go into step 3, which is moving the variable all the way to the left. So here I have positive 18k, so then I'm going to do minus 18k, and then here I'm going to do minus 18k, big equal sign. So positive and negative 18k cancel. Negative 6k minus 18k is going to give you negative 24k. Bring everything else down. Okay. Now, I need to move my constants over to the right. So here I have negative 18, so it's going to be plus 18 on both sides. Big equal sign. These guys are going to cancel. So I have negative 24, negative 24, I almost did it again, k equals, and 6 plus 18 is 20. I keep writing it without the 4. 24. So now I have to get rid of the negative 24 that's attached to the k, so I'm going to divide by negative 24 on both sides. So these cancel. I'm left with k equals, positive divided by a negative is a negative, 24 divided by 24 is 1. So k equals negative 1. But I always want to go back in and check my answer. So I'm going to rewrite the problem here. So I have negative 18 minus 6k equals 6, 1 plus 3k. So anywhere there's a k, I'm going to insert a negative 1. And I'm going to run out of room. So I'm going to do it down here. All right. So negative 18, negative 6 times negative 1 is going to be plus 6. 6. 1, and then positive 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Negative 18 plus 6 is going to be negative 12. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. So our answer checks out here. So our answer is k equals negative 1. All right, so now we have some fractions and decimals. And don't let that scare you. So here we have no distributive property. If we look on the left-hand side here, we cannot combine any like terms, and on the right-hand side, we cannot combine any like terms. So we want to start to move this y variable all the way to the left. So minus 2.5y minus 2.5y, big equal sign. So those are going to cancel. 3 minus 2.5 is going to leave us with 0.5y. Bring everything else down. Now we want to get the constants over to the right. So negative 10 or minus 10.5 minus 10.5. That's going to cancel. 6.5 minus 10.5. I'm going to work that out right here real quick. So we have 10.5 minus 6.5. 5 minus 5 is 0. We're going to borrow. So that's going to be 4.4, but that's going to be negative because the 10 was the bigger number. And then 0.5y. I'm going to erase that for now so we have room to work out the other problem. Now we have that 0.5 attached to the y, so we have to divide by 0.5 on both sides. These are going to cancel. You're left with y equals 0, negative divided by a positive is a negative, and 0.5 goes into 4 8 times. Now, you could have also, if you wanted to, changed all these decimals into fractions and you would have gotten the exact same answer. Let's go ahead and check our work real quick. So we had 3y plus 10.5 equals 6.5 plus 2.5y. All right, so everywhere there's a y, I'm going to plug in a negative 8. All right, so 3 times negative 8 is negative 24 plus 10.5 equals 6.5, and then we have 2.5 times 8, 40, 16, 20. So, and that's going to be minus 20 because it's a positive times a negative. All right, so then we have negative 24 plus 10.5. So we have to subtract. So 24 minus 10.5. So we're going to go ahead and borrow here. So we're left with negative 13.5 on that side. Now we have 6.5 minus 20. So we're going to do 20 minus 6.5. And look at that, we're left with 13.5. So because our answer checks out down there, our answer was y equals negative 8. And that's why it's really important to check your answers, because then you know for sure if you've gotten the problem correct on a test or a quiz. All right, so let's look at this problem right up here. So here we have 1/2 x minus 3 equals 2 minus 3/4 x. So don't let the fractions scare you. At the end of the day, you can change the fractions to decimals as long as they're, as long as they convert properly. But we're going to go ahead and leave these as fractions here. So there's no distributive property. If you look on the left-hand side of the equal sign, you cannot combine like terms. If you look on the right-hand side of the equal sign, you cannot combine like terms. So the first thing we're going to do is start to move the x's over to the left-hand side of the equal sign. So we have negative 3/4 x. So we're going to do plus 3/4 x on both sides of the equal sign. So these guys here are going to cancel. So 1/2 plus 3/4. You can set yourself up a little common denominator thing right here. So 2 goes into 4 twice. So that's going to give you 5/4. Okay? I'm going to erase that so we have room to work. So 5/4x minus 3 equals 2. Now we want to move the constant over to the right-hand side. So plus 3 plus 3. These are going to cancel. 2 plus 3 is 5. So we have 5/4x equals 5. Now, we have to get rid of this 5/4x, so we are dividing by 5/4, dividing by 5/4. So 5 divided by 5/4, which is going to be keep, change, flip. So 5/1 times 4/5. Those 5s will cancel, and you're left with an answer of 4. So x equals 4. But let's go ahead and check our work. So we had 1/2 x minus 3 equals 2 minus 3/4 x. So everywhere there's an x, I'm going to put in a 4. All right. So 1/2 times 4. Well, what's 1/2 of 4? 2 minus 3 equals 2. All right. Now, negative 3/4 times 4. Well, put that over 1. Cross cancel. Those become 1s. Negative 3. Not bad. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. It checks out. So our answer there was x equals 4. All right, I believe these are the, nope, we got 4 more problems. Okay, so let's take a look at these here. So on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, we do not have distributive property. But on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, we can combine like terms. So on the left-hand side, we have 5 minus 7, which is negative 2. So negative 2 plus 4x equals. Then on the right-hand side, we have 4x minus x, which is 3x. So then minus 2. All right, now let's go ahead and move our variables. So we have a positive 3x here, so I'm going to do minus 3x minus 3x. Big equal sign. Those cancel. 4x minus 3x is just x minus 2. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and move our coefficients now. So I have plus 2 on both sides. These are going to cancel. So x equals, now negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So let's see if that is the solution to our problem. So we add 5 plus 4x minus 7 equals 4x minus 2 minus x. So everywhere there's an x, I'm going to put a 0 in parentheses. All right, so 5 plus 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. All right, so 5 plus 0 is 5. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. 5 minus 7 is negative 2. Negative 2 minus 0 is negative 2. Our answer works out. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So, no distributive property. On the left-hand side, we cannot combine like terms. On the right-hand side, we cannot combine like terms. So, let's go ahead and start moving variables. We're going to do plus 0.1x plus 0.1x. Those cancel. This is going to be 0.3x plus 0.9 equals 0.3. We're going to move this constant to the right-hand side. Minus 0.9 minus 0.9. This cancels. So we have 0.3x equals, and when we subtract that, we're going to get negative 0.6. Now we need to divide by 0.3. So that's going to cancel. X equals. Negative divided by a positive is going to be a negative, and that's going to give you 2. Because 0.3 goes into 0.6 twice. But let's go ahead and check our answer. So it was 0.2x plus 0.9 equals 0.3 minus 0.1x. I'm going to have to go down here. So 0.2 times negative 2 plus 0.9 equals 0.3 minus 0.1 times negative 2. All right, so 0.2 times negative 2 is going to be negative 0.4 plus 0.9, 0.3, and then negative 0.1 times negative 2 is going to be positive 0.2. All right, negative 0.4 plus 0.9 is going to be positive 0.5, and 0.3 plus 0.2 is 0.5. So our answer checks out. So that means our answer is x equals negative 2. All right, last two problems. So we have a fraction problem here. So we have no distributive property. If we look at the left-hand side, we cannot combine any like terms, and if we look at the right-hand side, we cannot combine any like terms. Now, the interesting thing with this one is you can convert some of these into decimals, but the 1/6 will not convert beautifully into a decimal. So you're going to have to work with at least some of your fractions. So let's go ahead and start moving these around. So you have a positive 1 over 6x, so we're going to do minus 1 over 6x on both sides. So that's going to cancel. So you have 1/4 minus 1/6. You're going to find your common denominator. So that's going to give you 1 over 12. So we're going to have 1 over 12x plus 1 equals 1/2. Okay? Now we're going to get rid of this constant, move it to the right. Minus 1, minus 1. So we have these cancel. 1/2 minus 1 is going to be negative 1/2. Bring everything else down. All right, now we have to divide by 1/12 because we've got to get rid of this. This is being multiplied. Opposite of multiplication is division. Divide by 1/12. So these cancel. It's going to leave us with x. So negative 1/2 divided by 1/12. Keep, change, flip. So keep, change, flip. Cross cancel. So that's going to be x equals negative 6. All right. Let's check our answer. So the problem was 1/4 x plus 1. All right, so anywhere there's an x, we're going to put in a negative 6. So 1/4 times negative 6 plus 1 equals 1/6. All right, so put that guy over 1, so that's going to be negative 6 over 4 plus 1 equals, put that guy over 1, cross cancel. That's going to be negative 1 plus 1/2. So this guy can simplify to 3 over 2. So negative 3 over 2 plus 1 equals negative 1 plus 1/2 is negative 1/2. And then negative 3 over 2, which is the same as negative 1 and 1/2, plus 1 equals negative 1/2. So negative 1/2 equals negative 1/2. Our answer checks out. All right, last problem. We have distributive property on the left and distributive property on the right, but there's something very special about the distributive property here on the left. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write the 13 because the 13 is not being distributed. What's being distributed is actually this negative sign right here, okay? Yes, you can distribute a negative sign. So you are going to distribute the negative to the 2x. So that's going to be net minus 2x. Then distribute the negative to the 2. So that's minus 2 equals. Now distribute the 2 to the x. So that's 2x. Now distribute the 2 to the 2. So that's plus 4. And then bring down the plus 3x. All right, let's combine like terms on the left-hand side. 13 minus 2 is 11 minus 2x. Let's combine like terms on the right-hand side. 2x plus 3x is 5x plus 4. All right, let's move our variables to the left. So minus 5x minus 5x. These cancel. Negative 2x minus 5x is negative 7x. Bring down the 11 equals 4. Let's move our constants to the right. Minus 11 minus 11. Those cancel. Negative 7x equals 4 minus 11 is negative 7. Divide by negative 7. Divide by negative 7. This cancels, x equals 1. But then let's go ahead and check our answer by plugging it back in. So it was 13 minus 2x plus 2. Okay, so everywhere there's an x, we're going to put a 1. So all right, so 13 minus 2 times 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 13 minus 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 13 minus 4 is 9. 6 plus 3 is 9. The answer works out. All right, that is the end of this long, complex, but not too terrible lesson. We will do more practice in class, though.